I was just talking to someone that I love, and I just wanted to share this with the collective. For those of you who have free will, and that means when you're operating from a space of just your individual self with your choices, the current knowledge you have, it's not pertaining to, things outside of yourself, like other human beings or God itself, right? Just your energy. So one of my loved ones, they were feeling a bit upset because they were waiting on this job opportunity for 2 weeks. It was a lot of frustration going on, and they finally was able to pay for what they needed and go have the second interview or appointment that they needed to complete the hiring process. So their ID, it was messed up. It was kind of chipped or something like that. And the lady that he came across, she wasn't very empathetic. And as you know, a lot of people are not going to be empathetic, whether you're the nicest person ever or not. All right. Some people, they don't really care what you're going through. They already have their job, their coin. A lot of people are not sympathetic or empathetic. So that made him really frustrated because he said he was being really nice. He even asked if she could just try. Because he said that she wasn't even trying to scan his card. And I got to give you a little context, I guess, so I can fully say what I want to say. But he ended up contacting me, but I was a little busy, so I missed his call. And it was like 6 minutes until I returned it. So in that moment, I guess he had to learn how to deal with that on his own. Because sometimes everybody is not going to be around. You may not have the support that you want. Sometimes you just got to trust in that own inner guidance and comfort yourself in that moment. But I say this to say, how would he have known, regardless, with his current knowledge on the situation? He genuinely did not know that there was going to be a scan of an ID, let alone him having to have an actual, ID that was up to par. So, I was telling him, regardless if you had the appointment last week, today, in next month, regardless, this situation was probably going to happen the same way because the main thing was your ID, regardless, needed to be up to par, but you probably was never going to go out of your way to get a new. You had it for how many years and you never changed it or got it fixed. So you probably was never going to replace your ID anytime soon. And with you not knowing that your ID needed to be up to par, this was bound to happen. So I was giving them the enlightenment to help them, see things as, everything happens in divine timing, or sometimes it's just the knowledge that we currently have or the information that we receive or don't receive, which is a lot of reasons why things happen. Sometimes we beat ourselves up about things, and imagine if you're just going through so much in life and there's always something bad happening or wrong happening. You start feeling like you're cursed, right? So I just wanted him to feel better because he actually been through enough. And sometimes we all give each other hard times, and I'm in the space to where I'm more compassionate with him because we be at each other's throats sometimes. But I'm more in the energy of looking in the mirror, shifting, loving people that I love, unconditionally. So I'm in a space to where I can actually share my wisdom with him. And he told me that actually made him feel better. Because at first when I was trying to talk to him on the phone, he was just so angry. He was just like, so angry. And he even got emotional. It was so... I was like, oh, I didn't like this made... because it made him emotional. And I only know that's because he's been trying and trying. When you're trying and trying and it always seems like your goal is keep on being pushed further and further away from you, and you're trying to accomplish something, I can empathize with you and see how that may feel. But collective, whoever is viewing this, you have to give yourself enlightenment about what you experience, right? What was he going to do regardless of the situation? This was going to happen sooner or later. It just ended up happening today, which is good because now Now a lesson has been learned today. It may not have felt the best, but now you have wisdom. You may not be getting the job anytime soon that you feel like you were going to get, but there's plenty of other jobs and better ones at that. Maybe this was just you dodging something that wasn't even for your highest good. You know, maybe this was you constantly something showing you that you're ready to be an entrepreneur. Like, it could really be anything. Just that's just what I wanted to share. I hope this message makes sense, because I was kind of like all over the place with it. I thought I was going to say like one little sentence or two about the situation, but it's going on 5 minutes. So, but yeah, good thing is I knew about a job that paid twice as much as what they were offering anyway. So I ended up saying, at least you now, well, at least you know, and not wait on the second. Because at first they was gonna, yeah, I am reading the message because I feel like I said the message that I needed to say, but I also want to read it because I also said it perfectly in messages. But let me just scroll up a little bit. All right, should be the first option. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, they was so angry. I was like, I was saying that I'm glad because they got in a better energy when I was talking to them. And I was like, anger is a powerful energy. This is for y'all too. Anger is a very powerful energy. You need to stop giving your power away, your energy away. It's not really doing nothing for you. It's okay to be mad and sad. You have these emotions as a human being. But learn how to balance out the spiritual aspects of yourself as well. You're actually a spiritual being in a human body. So, you can't be letting everybody have it. You got to find positive ways of letting that energy out, right? I said, because, yeah, they were trying to get all these things done. You know how some people, they try to get their own apartment. They try to do this. They try to do that. And I was telling him, regardless that we was going to have to wait to do all of these things anyway, because we don't, for one, want to live paycheck to paycheck trying to pay some rent. Like, I was just giving them enlightenment, things that are kind of a bit, like, sometimes we don't really know the things yet, like, the common sense of things. And I don't want to say common sense because these things weren't really common sense, but sometimes we don't think of the plan or know the plan all the time. It don't be in our brain. It's just the goal, the ambition, we ready, action, inspiration. But regardless, you was still gonna have to wait before getting to that apartment. Like, I don't know if he was thinking, okay, I got a job, let me go apply for that apartment right now. Like, no, honey, you was gonna have to be saving up a little bit so you wouldn't, so you can have enough money to pay for stuff and have enough money to be able to chill. And say, for instance, if that job don't work out for you, you got time to find a new job while your bills are still being paid for 3, 4, 5, 6 months up, whatever the case may be. So it's like working smarter, not harder. But I feel like they was more stressed and they were closed into the 3D plane problems that was going on instead of looking at things from like a higher perspective. Sometimes we got to do that. And they weren't a spiritual person when I met them. So it makes sense for them to still, look at things from a certain way. But I gave them that enlightenment. So this shows you, speak your mind to people, speak your wisdom to people, because you don't know who you may make feel better and change their life for the better. Some people really be out here struggling, ready to take themselves out. And a light being like you could change everything, just by your empathy, your wisdom, your care. But yeah, I was telling them, at least and not wait on the second. You probably would have been even more upset because you would have had to start over. Like, they was telling him, you need to do a sooner date, because if you do it for the second of next month, you're going to have to start all this stuff over. And I feel like he was mad because he felt like he wasn't going to be able to get his money back for the stuff he paid for. And I'm like, well, at least talk to somebody. He didn't went off on a lady at the thing. Oh my gosh, like, you can't be doing that, because what if she try to tell people, oh yeah, don't hire him, he got bad behavior, but I was saying, so based on free will, it could have been worse, but at least you now know. And I said, when I say free will, I just mean how everything plays out based on individually and not outside energy, whether that's other human beings or God itself. So with your own free will and current knowledge, you genuinely did not know that the car needed to be up to par. So what could you have done regardless? It's like I was trying to encourage him, like, it's no point in being mad, regardless this would have happened or not, because just the knowledge that you had or didn't have. And I was like, whether it was last week, today, or the second, you probably wouldn't have gotten a new ID anytime soon. So regardless, this probably was going to happen regardless. And I was telling him, this is what I mean by give yourself enlightenment and you know, everything like that. I was just telling him everything's gonna be all right, honey. Like, dang.